Hello, welcome or welcome back to this series where I am developing a Murder Drones fan game, starting with a combat system that would be robust enough to recreate all of the fight scenes from the series. This devlog will be different to the previous ones, as I do not have a script written out, as I am recording this very late and I do not have one ready. But I still want to deliver something of value. This week I will go over the process of translating the choreography from the show into something like a combat log, from which I could then recreate specific attacks and a sequence of moves that would be the closest approximation of the fight that the combat system is capable of. If you've watched the previous episodes, then you know that the fight that I intend to recreate first is the one between Solver, Uzi and V from the end of episode 4, and it will begin here and end here. Mostly because the parts before and after that have a lot of talking and that goes beyond the combat mechanics. So to begin with, we have Uzi attacking V with the tail. It does look like it initially misses and then the second attack lands, which I only now took into account, and that does complicate things. The wonders of recording this without a script. But that can be solved relatively easily. Although I will have to explain some of the mechanics that I envisioned. Specifically, reactions. And in turn, the whole action economy in this game, I suppose. To make it short, on your turn, you can take up to 2 quick actions, and then 1 regular action or a 3rd quick action, which will end your turn. Some quick actions specifically allow you to set up a reaction, meaning that you will do something if an opponent does something specific. This would be mostly used for parrying or dodging attacks, and we can say that this is what happened here, that V, while approaching Uzi, was in some kind of stance that allowed her to dodge an attack even though she was surprised by it. However, due to the fact that she was surprised, she would lose her turn because of that, which then allows Uzi to attack again, managing to grab onto her arm and then throw her. However, both the grapple, as it ends up severing a limb, and the throw would likely be full actions, so they can't both be executed on the same turn. So this is when I would introduce another mechanic, namely speed. You may have noticed it if for some reason you paid close attention to the gameplay recordings that I had in previous devlogs. But units in this game, much like in Kdenlive Quest, in fact currently I am using the exact same implementation of the mechanic, they have different speeds. And if a unit is slower than you, then once in a while you will be able to take 2 turns in a row without them taking a turn in between. And conversely, if a unit is faster than you, they might get to take 2 turns in a row. And in this case, I think this is how I would implement it. Uzi would be faster than V, and in this specific turn, she would get her speed boost advantage. So then, V is thrown and lands prone on the ground, sliding a little. She would most likely immediately start getting up from prone, which takes 1 action. There would be cases where if you, say, get beaten up pretty badly, there might be a situation where you can't just get up from prone. But in this case, sure, she lost an arm, but she is, other than that, relatively fine. So I don't think it would come up in this case. So, as she gets up, Uzi would step into her previous space. Then V, on her turn, already being up, would step back. Does that work? So actually never mind that. V is thrown, lands, and cannot immediately get up. Uzi uses that turn to step forward into the space that V occupied. Then V begins getting up, and as a bonus action, readies a defensive reaction with her sword arm. Uzi, as a quick action, stomps on the blade, as a quick action, marks it for the use with solver powers, and then as a full action, catapults it forward. V, since she had the reaction, deflects it, and on her turn, she just steps back. Uzi would follow that up with a charge move that also grapples, which could be a quick action if grappling won't end up being super powerful by itself, and then, once again, catapults the blade, precisely aiming for V's head. And this time she hits, inflicting some kind of status condition which affects V's accuracy. While V on her turn, as a quick action, switches from a sword to the missile launcher, and as an action fires off a missile, which explodes in the background. I would say something like 4 tiles behind and 1 to the left of Uzi. Then on her turn, Uzi would once again throw V, although this throw is either more powerful or just randomly a different variation of it. The power argument could probably make sense as it is performed with the wing instead of the tail. Either way, while V is again thrown a distance away and knocked prone, she also tumbles for a bit, which takes her out of commission for a bit longer and moves her a little bit away. Meaning that she is effectively out of combat for a few turns, and it can be an extra one on top of that if Uzi's greater speed once again comes into play. Although even with that, Uzi would have to have some kind of movement ability as a quick action, so that by the time V can start getting up, Uzi is already standing next to her, and as a quick action she picks up the sword blade. As another quick action she prepares a reaction to defend herself. As a main action, stabs V, pinning her to the ground by the arm. The fact that it hits the arm and thus prevents her from fighting with it would be handled by giving Uzi's access to precise targeting for this attack, and then the fact that it pins her to the ground would be a side effect of using this kind of stabbing weapon on a prone opponent. And having her attempt to stand up fail, V goes for an attack with the tail, Uzi's reaction goes off, and this particular reaction happens to use the same attack as Uzi used in the beginning, which is capable of severing limbs, so Uzi effectively disarms her, and then on her turn, Uzi as a quick action grabs the stinger, and then goes to stab with it as an action. However, unbeknownst to her, Anne has managed to sneak up there and also set up some kind of reaction, which upon triggering grapples Uzi and causes her attack to miss. So, to summarize, the things that would be needed for this combat that aren't implemented yet are the specific bite attack with the tail that is capable of severing limbs, the ability to use the severed sword of a disassembly drone as a weapon, the system for various defensive reactions, the grappled status condition, the tumbling status condition, the, I suppose, shocked status condition, or whatever it would be called when a disassembly drone gets hit in the head, the ability for murder drones to change which hands they have active at the moment, and then just the specific attacks, which will be by far the fastest and easiest to implement. And yes, that is what I have for you this week. I hope I was making sense, and I hope this is any good. If you enjoyed it, do the YouTube things, and until next time, farewell.